So today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a tofu salad sandwich. And this is going to replace your eggs and all the animal products that you don't need in your diet. So what I'm going to be using is 1 pound of our extra firm tofu. And then we'll be using a 1/4 teaspoon of our turmeric, and that's going to give us our nice egg color. And not only that, turmeric is so good for inflammation. I'll be using 3 tablespoons of our chopped black olives, 1 tablespoon of our nutritional yeast. And this is really high in B vitamins. You can get this at the health food store. A lot of grocery stores carry it too. And I'll be using chicken seasoning that is plant-based. And my favorite is Bill's Best, but you can get this at the health food store or online. 1 tablespoon of that. And then we'll be using salt to give it some flavor. It's really to taste. And then we'll be doing 1/4 of our red bell pepper, which I'll show you how to chop, 2 of our green onions, 1 stalk of celery, and we'll assemble it all together into our beautiful sandwich. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tofu, and this can be found in your grocery section. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the water out. So I just cut my package, and I'm just going to strain the water out. And the reason we use extra firm is we want to have a more desired texture of a hard-boiled egg. You could use firm tofu, but it's going to need to be pressed out more, get more of the water out, and you're going to create more of an extra firm texture. I'm going to put this into my bowl, and then we're just going to crumble it up with a fork. And this is going to give us that nice kind of a ricotta-like texture or a scrambled egg kind of feel. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my spices. So I'd use 1/4 teaspoon of my turmeric. And this is what's going to kind of give you that feel of a real egg. And that turmeric is really healthy, by the way. And 1 tablespoon of our nutritional yeast. And then we'll add our Bill's Best seasoning. And I'm going to wait till the end to add salt because we want to make sure we don't add too much salt. And I'm going to stir all this up so that I get a nice coating. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to cut up a red bell pepper. And this is so easy. And in fact, red bell peppers are very high in vitamin C. They have more vitamin C than an orange, in fact. So make sure that you eat your red bell peppers. And if you find that you're allergic to bell peppers or you have a hard time digesting them, a lot of times bell peppers aren't ripe. So if you eat a green bell pepper, it's not ripe. You really want something that's red or orange or yellow. So you make sure you eat ripe food. And I'm just going to take the inside out here. I'm just going to discard the seeds. And this bell pepper is so beautiful. It's in season. And I just love bell peppers. Okay, then I'm going to do is I'm just going to take 1/4 of this, and I usually just cut it in half. And then I'm going to take the half and cut it into 1/4. And you know, you can save these for other things, add them to your soup. And then what I do, there's 2 things you can do. You could skin this bell pepper to take off the skin and not have that mouthfeel. Some people don't like the mouthfeel of a red bell pepper, the skin. But I don't like that because I want to make sure I'm getting all of the food, right? So now I'm just going to take this red bell pepper and I'm going to take it in slices with my chef knife. And I have my nice little julienne cut. And then I'm just going to cube it. And you can make this as fine or as big of a dice that you want. And there we have some beautiful red color that we're going to go ahead and add to our tofu salad sandwich filling. You could also put this filling in a pita pocket. That would be really delicious. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to use our green onion. And what you do is I like to put them next to each other and just cut off the little root system there, discard that. And I always like to cut off the back too because sometimes they get a little brown in the grocery store. You don't want that. So now what I'm going to do is I really like the green color, so I'm going to start there. And I'm just going to make little cuts. And when you're cutting, you really want to make sure that you have a sharp knife. A dull knife is actually more dangerous, and you'll be fighting with your food. You don't want to do that. So just go ahead and make sure your knife is very sharp. So there we go. We're going to add our beautiful green onion here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do celery. Just take your stalk. I like to cut off the ends so that I'm left with just a nice even celery to begin with. And then I like to have small pieces of celery. Some people like that mouthfeel of celery and that stringiness. I like to have really small dices of my celery. So I just take my celery, turn it on its side. I'm going to make small little julienne cuts. And a julienne cut is nothing more than kind of like what a matchstick, that type of look. And these are thick julienne cuts. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these into little dices. And celery is a great source of natural sodium, by the way. If you really are needing some salt without adding salt, you can always add celery. One little trick that I like to do is I like to take my celery, I'll dehydrate it actually, and it actually tastes just like salt. So you don't have to cook with salt if you don't want to. You can always use dehydrated celery. Okay, so we're getting really close to the end here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just stir this all up, and we have our beautiful colors of our red and green. And I will add my beautiful black olives here, and that's gonna give us a nice source of fatty acids that we're looking for. Olives are a great source for that. Add just a little bit of salt to give it some flavor. And I've probably added that maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, but it's to taste. Okay, so where we are done, I'm going to just show you what I would do with this. Just grab your favorite whole grain bread. I love Ezekiel bread because it's just full of whole grains and it's sprouted and it's so delicious. But Alvarado Street bread's great. Any kind of whole grain bread. If you can make your own, go for it. It's so healthy to make your own bread. You really can know what's in it that way. And we're just going to top it off here. You can see how gorgeous this is. It's so delicious and healthy. I'm going to put some tomatoes and then a nice romaine lettuce leaf. And there you have a beautiful tofu salad sandwich.